Well, welcome to this live stream, this unscheduled live stream, and one that I hope I'll be doing plenty more of in the future. The reason that I'm doing this is because as the YouTube channel grows, I get more opportunities to travel, more opportunities to meet very interesting people. And last year, when I produced the video about SEANET, who offer yacht co-ownership solutions, it created a lot of interest on the channel, a lot of questions from viewers. And so now that I'm back filming the next episode of SEANET to show the amazing progress that they've made in the last year, I took the opportunity to ask Matty Zadnikar, who's the founder of the company, if he'd join us just to answer some of your questions. What I would ask is, because there's not too many people on the stream just yet, if you could confirm that you can hear me okay, because I've never filmed with a camera quite so far away from me, and I'm socially distancing myself from you, so I need to know that you can hear okay. I can see already questions coming in. That's fantastic. So, oh wow, it's gone up from 3 people to 42 in just a few seconds, so that's fantastic. So what I'll do is, to kick things off, I'll ask Matty if you'd explain a little bit about why you came up with the idea of co-ownership and a little bit of how the structure works, and then we'll invite your questions, which Matty will be very happy to answer.
Okay, David, thank you very much. So how came I up with the idea? I must say that in business I'm a serial entrepreneur. So I've launched in my past 25, 30 years of entrepreneurship, I launched multiple brand new ideas. So ideas that are new for the market, ideas that are different and non-existing. So when I sold my petrochemical business in 2013, I did a sabbatical year on board of my yacht, and I must say during that year I had a wonderful time. But during that year, on the end of the year, I noticed very well that I was simply too early to retire. So, and on the end of that year, my wife said, "Okay, when you want to start something new, then try to do something what is in a field that I also could enjoy time together with you, that we could maybe do it together and spend some time together." And due to the fact that I'm already for 30 years in boating, so I started with an 80-footer, went to a 24-footer, to a 30, to a 42, to a 70, and so it went bigger and bigger. And at that moment, I had the 93 Bonetti Delfino. I started thinking, okay, what could be a new concept in yachting? Yeah? And during the year that I've been on board of the boat, I spent a lot of time, let me say, in the pre-season and the after-season with other yacht owners. Because typically in the summer, people are in a rush. A lot of boats are chartered. They make no time to talk. But in the pre and the after season, you very often see the owners themselves. Yes. It's a quiet time, and you're invited for a glass of wine. And when you start talking with people, people are passionate about boating, there is not only a positive side, there's also a little bit of downside. And then I was very interested to understand if their downside was also my downside, experience-wise. And it came up to 3 points. The first point, what every owner mentioned, and people generally don't like to speak about it, but about you have to be very passionate to buy a yacht. Yes. That first of all. But when you see the time that you use your yacht, the time that you really spend on board of your yacht versus the time that you are not using it, there's a completely unbalanced. So let me say 4, 5, 6 weeks a year out of the 52 weeks that you really own the boat. But that means also that you only use 4 years, but you pay for your yacht in running costs. Yeah, you pay 52 weeks a year.
So you use it for 6. So you pay for 52.
For 52, but use it for 6. So the unbalance in the money that you spend, and it's nothing to do with not willing to spend money, but simply nobody likes to have the feeling that you burn money for nothing. So when you're on board, it's what it is. A yacht costs money, but when you're not on board, it gives you a strange feeling. For sure, when you're not used to waste money, as that. There was one mutual point that I also experienced through the years. The second point is that a lot of people are entrepreneurs and use the yacht as, let me say, their escape from business. Yeah. So you go on board of your yacht, you have a nice time with family, with friends, and to enjoy. And you don't want to be harassed by management. But what happens very often, when you only spend that 4, 5, 6 weeks on board, so the captain and the crew only sees you that time or those weeks on board, automatically you get into a management of your yacht, because a captain has a lot of questions. What is the budget for next year? Where are we going to travel? I have a problem with my maintenance. I want to change the first mate or the engineer, whatever. So you're back in the mode during your holiday time of managing a yacht. So second point was a little bit the hassle of management of a yacht. And then the third point, and that's a very personal point, on board of a yacht, crew is not like an employee in the company. Crew is like house staff.
Yes.
They come in your private atmosphere. You're there when you in the morning stand up with your pajamas on.
Yes.
Yeah, or you maybe have a discussion with your wife. You're next to it. So it's a very intimate sphere. So you become very picky on who is your staff.
Yes.
And one of the main topics in yachting is when, due to the fact that boats are not so much used, that people get bored and people hop from one boat to another boat. It's nothing to do with the crew itself, but simply the setting that a boat is not very frequently used as a private boat. So the staffing issue was also an issue for everyone that I talked to. They said, okay, those 3 points, money versus use. Second point, the hassle of management, and then the crewing. And based on those 3 points, I thought, okay, what could be a solution? Because I'm used to look to problems, and very often the solution for a problem could be a new business concept. And then I said, why nobody has ever thought that you could own a yacht with a minimum of 2 to a maximum of 4 or 6 owners, and then you would share costs, and you would spread the use of the boat over an entire season. Everybody could use the boat, and that was the beginning of a new idea.
And I can tell you that while we've been filming this series of videos, I've actually been treated as if I was a co-owner on the yacht. And you'll see over the next few weeks, you'll see some of those videos coming out. But what you say about crew is absolutely right. The way the crew on SEANET are trained is really quite remarkable. There's a consistency in standard across all of the yachts.
Yeah, but something what I find very particular, I don't know if the viewers are interested in that, but from a perspective of a yacht owner, I cannot imagine that a yacht owner is not a successful businessman. You need a lot of passion and money, to buy a yacht. So all of them are very successful entrepreneurs. So how have they become successful? By managing in detail their companies. They are very focused. They are working on that from Monday to Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So they are continuously busy with their business. And they know that having that focus on business and managing the people in their companies make them successful.
Yes.
Then all of a sudden, the same entrepreneurs buy a yacht based on their passion.
Yes.
Then they hire a captain, and with all the respect for all captains in the world, but the captain is like a director or a manager in a company. Then they put him on a boat, they give him a budget, depending on the size of yacht, between, let me say, a 30 meter, 500,000-600,000, and a 1.2 or 1.5 million when you go to a 40 meter. And then 5-6 weeks a year, they get in touch with each other. Can you imagine that you would give money simply to a management team in your company, and 5 times a year you have a call and you talk with them? I think that the chance that you will be successful is very, very low. So people are very surprised that then things don't go like they want. And I think it's something to do with focus. And from a SEANET perspective, what we said in the company, boats are much more used. Boats are almost continuously used, so we optimize the season, that's one thing. But people are managed. We have standards and we manage it. We manage our yachts like we would manage a company, and staff is trained, is follow up, there's the right appreciation, and there's also a control system in place, and that makes a big difference.
Now there's already some questions coming in, and some good questions coming in, so we'll take a break and go to some of the questions. I think many of you probably already know that in the SEANET fleet, the yachts are 93 feet, 35 meters, because you've seen the video of Heed, which is the 35 meter azimuth. And of course, the latest edition, which we will reveal in the forthcoming video, is a little bit bigger, but not that much bigger than Heed. But
almost a small 36 meter.
Roman Tayo asks the question, is it possible to co-own a larger super yacht, say a 70 meter, even a 120 meter super yacht?
Let me say we started in September, it's 4 years ago. So 4 years ago we started, and we started in a market that is pretty conservative. So because we position ourselves between the charter market and the full ownership market. Yeah? So we wanted to create a segment between where you would say, I co-own a yacht with multiple owners. So no time sharing. And let us be very clear, what we do is ownership. We share ownership. So you get the title of the boat, percentage-wise. So what I notice now is bringing that message to market takes time. I'm used to it out of other concept, it takes time. And we started with a 93-foot, very simple, based on the fact I had a brand new boat, and I said, before I want to invest in simply building a boat and bringing it on market and try to sell it, I used simply the brand new boat, what was a Bonetti Delfino, fully equipped, fully loaded in a top state, brand new, and I tried it out and we start selling shares in that.
Yes.
And out of that Delfino, little by little, we stepped from a 93-footer to a 116, what is a 35-meter yacht. So that's the next level. Now we have a second 35-meter. And last year we succeeded in selling a share, not on a boat that was already part of us, but I knew a Belgian owner, also a great gentleman who is already for, let me say, I think the past 30 years. He was a little bit with his friends, had a setup of co-ownership. And he said, Matty, I want to restructure a little bit my boat. I would be very happy when you could find for a 52-meter yacht, a steel aluminium, a San Lorenzo, when you could find me a co-owner. We had in our fleet multiple clients who already have asked me for bigger boats, and we succeeded in bringing them together. And I must say, within 1 month, they found each other, became very good partners, and we could close that deal. It's a 42% share deal and a 52-meter. Yeah. And from that moment on, now we get more and more requests of people who already own a yacht in the range of 40, 50, 60. We have even had last week a 65-meter that asked, okay, I would be interested to swap from chartering my yacht to having 1 or 2 partners in my yacht. So I own the yacht 100%, and I would be willing to find now 1 or 2 partners who would share the yacht with me in a percentage. But it's a little step up, so step by step. So I believe that we as SEANET, we focus between the 30 to 60, 70 meter, but it's simply a matter of time that we will also close a bigger yacht.
And actually, we discussed this at some length over the last few days that we've been together. That and for the benefit of Roman Tayo, who asked the question, let's say, Roman, that you had 3 friends who wanted to buy a 120-meter yacht, all between the 4 of you. I've seen that on smaller yachts. I've seen that happen, and the friends often fall out. It becomes complicated. They find it difficult to find an agreement. So honestly, the best thing to do is to find a third party,
objective third party,
party,
non-involved in the ownership itself, because then it can become messy. I must say what I see, and I've had in the past also in some other fields experience like that. And you can bring multiple owners together, but at a certain point, family gets involved. So different parties get involved, and let me say, and then who gets which week? It can become tricky. So you need standards, you need rules and regulations. What we use, we have very strict rules how we use the yacht and who is using the yacht when. But it's based on fair play. And it's very difficult to appoint one in the group who is also the owner himself to respect that fair play. So that we are taking that role on our side and handling the
or equally so, it may be that you don't have 3 friends who want to share a 120-meter yacht, in which case I'm very sorry that you don't have 3 friends with the money for a 120-meter yacht. But you would approach SEANET, and it could well be that they've got other inquiries for similar-sized yachts, and they can put that all together. So size is really not an issue.
No, size is not an issue, and I must say that personally, from out of my own passion for yachts, because I'm still involved myself as a yacht owner very strongly. So there's also one thing maybe worth to mention. I'm myself involved in the first yachts. Simply to build up credibility. So I don't want to work as a broker. I'm a passionate yacht owner. I sold this business who likes to be on the water and believes in a new concept that I want to bring to market. But I think that I would appreciate to get the opportunity to bring people together in a much bigger yacht. It's simply a matter of having that inquiries and then working around them.
Yeah, sure. Now, moving on to another question. You've already touched on this, but I think it's worth going into more detail on. Because quite understandably, Judette Jamila, thanks for your question, Judette. You say it's a similar concept as timeshare ownership with resorts lodging, except of a different nature. Now, can you go into more detail on the difference between timeshare and co-ownership of a yacht?
Okay, I'm not a timeshare expert, but simply timesharing, what you do, you buy usage of an asset. That asset can be a villa, that asset could be a boat. You could be a boat, but you never are the owner of the asset itself. Yeah, it's a big difference. So that means that time, that use time, the ownership of that is linked to a company who is commercializing the use of that asset. So from the moment that something happens with that asset owning company, your time is gone, it's evaporated. And I must say that's also the reason why some 10 years ago there was a hype about time sharing, but it also received a negative name based on the fact that a lot of those things, they evaporated at a certain point, you went bankrupt and you have invested in the use, but the use was gone. So I don't like that system. We clearly separate ownership from one side in an owning company, where you become owner, co-owner, and you get the title of you're 25, you're 33, or you're 50%, and that owner title, that's hard as a fact. And from the other side, there is SEANET as a company. What does the management? There is a management agreement between the asset company and the management company. What is the big advantage? That from the moment that you would not like the service of the management company, you can exchange your management company. That's one thing. From the moment that SEANET as a company would go bankrupt, you still have the asset, and you together with the other co-owners would simply look for, or you manage it yourself, what I would not advise, or you look for another third-party management company to do that. So it's a much more secure model to use.
So timeshare is just that. You're buying time.
You're buying
That's
time.
all you're buying.
And here you buy an asset.
But
you buy part of an asset. And for a lot of people, it sounds new or strange. All our ships are Maltese flagged. And you know that in the commercial vessels, there's a lot of Maltese flagged vessels. When you, for example, there are a lot of great tankers for oil, for crude transportation, that the big brands, the Totals, the BPs, the Shells of this world, they share ownership. They have each 1/3 in a big tanker, and they use it simply for the transportation of crude from one continent to another. So in Malta, that structure of co-ownership is already very strongly embedded and legally very secured. And we use that same frame for our ownership.
I noticed that the yachts are all Valletta.
And I must say, Malta is very strong in setting up structures like that. It's in a very secure way.
Now we have another 2 questions, both from Rudy Degelt, who, by the way, Matty, is one of my most faithful viewers, watches all the videos, all the live chats, very, very good viewer. So thanks, Rudy, for being here again. He has 2 questions. They're both very similar questions, so I'll ask them together. He says, "Hello, David. Hello, Sir Matty Zadnikar."
No, Matty. I'm a very simple guy, Matty.
I hope my question is not indiscreet. The co-owner seems to be designated for a conventional yacht. And then he says, Mediterranean or Bahamas, do you think it could be transposed to boats of the Explorer type? And he says, excuse my English is a bit approximative, but clearly what we're saying is, we're talking about yachts which are used in the Med, in the Bahamas. If people wanted to buy an Explorer yacht and cruise the world, could you accommodate that?
Let me say, I will first start from my personal point of view. I'm very crazy about everything what is connected to the sea and to yachting and boating. So I like to spend as much time on board of yachts as possible. And one of my next ultimate dreams is to build, together with some partners, the next Explorer type of boat, to go to remote places. So for me, going in the direction of also having an Explorer in our fleet based on co-ownership is one of the next steps. So for me, it's from one side, growing in size, going to 40, 50, 60, 70 meters, that range, and setting up a matchmaking for co-owners in one bigger vessel. And from the other side, Explorers will be definitely one of the future parts of our fleet. I'm pretty sure of it, not only out of my personal interest, but there is simply the interest in the market is very strongly growing. There's only one thing what is very important, what is very different with what I think with the type of owner who wants to have an Explorer. When you go remote, you don't go remote for one long weekend.
No.
You can go to Ibiza, you can go to Saint-Tropez, or you can go to Portofino for a long weekend on your yacht, spend some 3-4 days, you come back home. But when you are remotely, you go to Alaska or you to Scandinavia, you don't do that for 1 week. So that means typical for Explorer clients, and I would use it in the same way, that are clients that are 3-4 weeks on a boat. They want to spend they want to make voyages, long trips. So that means automatically, because the season, is limited in time, that you will have it with 2 to a maximum of 3 owners. There you cannot use a model of 4, 5, 6 owners. That you can do when owners are willing to spend less time, shorter periods, but in exploration you do long trips. And the ultimate thing would be that you bring people together. That is what we call matchmaking. That would say, damn, we spend some time together. We have time with our families. They fly in and remote places, but we could also, as co-owners, spend some time together and share the passion on our boat together. But it's more, that is limited in the amount of shareholders.
Sure. Thanks, Rudy, because that opened up a whole chat that I wasn't expecting. I mean, but it makes sense to go to an Explorer yacht as well.
I'm simply waiting for people who would be interesting to set something up.
Well, now we have Rudy, we have Roman, so just another 2 viewers can put together and we can get co-ownership of a nice big Explorer yacht. Now, Matthew Amelino says, hi, how many things do you have to pay to own a boat? Is it better to buy it or to rent it? It's a little bit of a vague question, but I get the general.
Okay. I'm a true believer that there will always people who rent and there will always people who buy full boats.
Yes.
With co-ownership, we are a go-between. So we simply think that, and so the question is, what is the difference between co-ownership and charter? Or what is the difference between ownership and charter? And for me, one of the main things is when you ownership, and I've chartered in the past year, I've chartered a lot in my life, so I know a lot, and I've had wonderful charters. I had also other experiences. So I think one of my main remarks, but it's maybe personal, and maybe I have simply had bad luck, but is the inconsistency of the service that you expect.
Yes.
So what I saw in charter was that I had holidays on board of boats that I said, a top boat and a top stable with a wonderful crew. And then we said, damn, let us book that same yacht next year. And a year later, I got on a yacht what was really weird. What is the English word? Weird out. And that was really overused.
Oh, yeah,
worn out. What really was worn out. It was one thing. It was a complete different crew, but a crew that has not the same service standards as before. So it was a disappointment because you have a certain expectation. So when I speak about co-ownership, what we do in our co-ownership, each co-owner personalizes the yacht. We cannot change the wood of the interiors. We cannot throw the saloon. But what we do, we want to give every owner the feeling when he comes on board, it is his boat. We go very far. That means their own cutlery, their own linen, their own towels. Even we go up for owners to their own personalized mattresses. So their art pieces. So we try to create in that co-ownership scheme a situation that you come on board of your boat with your friends, and you will not find anything about the other co-owners. So I think the personalization and making it your boat versus a charter, that's the big difference. And when you really use it a lot, I could make you very easy a financial calculation, then it's cheaper than chartering.
Yes, of course. And actually, that's brought to mind a question that I wanted to ask you a couple of days ago, and I forgot. And for the benefit of Matthew, who asked the question, Matthew, when you go into the co-ownership structure, you pay a certain amount of capital to buy in, so that you own a percentage of the yacht itself, and then of course you have a yearly fee, which is agreed between SEANET and the other co-ownership to cover the running costs, maintenance, service of the engines, anti-fouling, paint, lifting the boats, all of those things. You come to an agreement on what that yearly cost is going to be. But my question, which is similar to Matthew's, with regards to the fuel usage, is that paid for separately at the end of the period that you?
You have to see there we use the same system. We use an APA way of working. That means very simple, that owner's fuel, that owner's food and beverage, and owner's transit marinas are paid by an owner. So from the moment that an owner puts a foot on board, we register very clearly the stand of the level of the fuel on board. We notice it on the end, and he pays for the fuel he uses. Because we have owners who like to stay more in ports, or an anchor, and we have owners who are continuously sailing because they love sailing. So, and that's connected to their own costs. So we separate that. But let me say, the all winterization maintenance, all yearly maintenance, the home port marina, because for each season we have a home base. For example, this year we sail in Croatia. Our home base is split, and we do the entire Croatian Montenegrin coastline. Yeah, so we always choose a home port that's included. Insurance is included, crew is included. So everything beside food, beverage, transit marinas, and your own fuel is included in the yearly running cost.
Right. And JP, actually, before I tell you the question from JP Batu, there's a comment from Pilot A340 who says, "Thank you, Matty, last year for your help." I don't know who that was, but he obviously knows you, and you've obviously helped him.
Okay.
So,
good.
Pilot, if you want to reveal who you are,
Thank you very much.
I shall tell Matty. JP Batu says, in the case of co-owners from the same region, let's say the Med, how do they share the summer season and the winter?
It's one of the main questions. So when you look, and that's also linked to the amount of co-owners. I don't believe in structures that go further than 6 co-owners. It's simply mathematical and season-wise impossible to respect fair play. So that means when you now look, and we started as a European-based company, and we only used boats in the Met, and we are now swapping all our boats from European use to double use European, and in the winter or the Caribbeans or Asia. Yeah. How is the season built up? Our season now starts the 1st of May, yeah, and ends in the Met, let me say, around the end of September, the first days of October. Yeah. So that's the season that we use. In that period, when I know that I don't make a mistake, you have 24 weeks. 24 weeks that you can spread. And what we do, we have a kind of priority rule. So that means that the weeks are chosen between the partners based on a priority. So that means when I have this year, I'm the number one to choose my pre-season weeks. And the pre-season is from the 1st of May until the mid of June. There are 6 weeks, yeah. Then I'm the first in a row. I pick my week. When you are the second, the third, we go around, and every year it switches like a clock. So that's the only way to do it fair. So everybody gets at a certain point, he's the number one in choosing his week. When I have the first right in the pre-season, I'm the third in the row in the main season, because in the main season we use slots of 2 weeks or 3 weeks depending on the amount of shareholders. And then very simple, we are with 3 guys. When you are number one, he's number 2. In that year, I'm the last one to pick. But the year after, I may be the first one to pick. It's simply a rotation that you know from day one. From the moment that you sign up, you know already for the next 5 years, you know exactly when is my priority, and then you make your pick. And then the month of September until the beginning of October, that's then the after season. And in the winter, it goes exactly the same. We start in the winter mid-December, 15th of December, and we go until the first week of March. That's the winter season. And the between is transcontinental displacement, yeah, and we do the maintenance of the boats.
Yes.
That's a fact. But it's a fair rotation that goes for everybody, and you know it when you sign for it. So the moment that you sign the contracts, everybody is aware about the rules and regulations of the planning system. And when there, for example, the two of us say, okay, could we maybe swap? You can swap, but there is a fixed rule.
Yes.
You have to keep in mind, and I now speak about myself also, when you are an entrepreneur, you used to be the boss in your company.
Yes.
We are not used to receive no. We are used to say, I'm doing this.
Sure.
Yeah. When you bring 4, 5, 6 bosses in one company or one boat, you need to have strict rules. Otherwise, you have a discussion from day one. I'm now 4 years working in this. I have not had one time an issue. And I cannot tell you that here. When I would bring you in contact with my partners, they would confirm that. It's simply a matter of making things very clear upfront.
Yeah.
It's the same like when you marry, you should discuss your divorce.
Yes.
And when you do that properly, then there is no discussion. But nobody does it.
No.
And then you have then it can become very
Well,
messy.
it goes back to what we were saying about 4 friends getting together to buy a yacht together. And there'll be 4 entrepreneurs, 4 wealthy people, 4 people who always get their own way, and they're going to butt heads.
Yep, and I don't want to be against the women part of it, but believe me that there are also 4 women involved, and then it can become very, very tricky.
Yes.
Because one, but what are you doing? Because the other one have this, and it can become very messy.
Yes.
So you need very clear arrangements upfront.
And again, it's having that independent, objective
Third very
party
important
to establish the rules so that everything has a fair playing field. Now, there's an interesting one here actually. It's a very generic question, but I know it's one that you'll have something to say about, because I think most of you already know that the yachts that are managed on the SEANET fleet are 2 Bonettis and 1 Azimut Brandy, so from the same family. And Chip Reed asks what you think of the Oasis 40 meter, which of course is a new Bonetti project.
Yes, let me say first of all, and we changed that. I must honestly say that when you speak about objectivity, I'm very subjective when it comes up to Azimut Bonetti Group. I'm really a fan of the brand, but I noticed from the first 2 years, so there was also the only type of boats that we offered in the market, and I'm still a huge fan, but I have to recognize that not everybody is driving a Porsche. There are also Ferrari lovers, there are also Bentley lovers, so you have to respect that. So we changed our approach. That means that nowadays I'm listening very well to my customers, and we define a boat based on the interest that we get. So it can be multi-brand. But to come back to the Oasis, we worked out a detailed project for Oasis. So I know the Oasis inside out. I spent together with a project team a small year, and also in the Bonetti shipyard, in defining how should the SEANET Oasis look like. And for me, what is a SEANET Oasis? Our yachts are very intensively used.
Yes.
That means when you use your yachts the entire summer, 24 weeks in Europe and 12 weeks in the Caribbean, and it's full-time use with only 2 days slot for maintenance between, you need a different definition of the technicality of a yacht. So Oasis is, from my point of view, is a new revolution in bringing people on a boat, but bringing people on a boat in much more contact with the water than you have on much other boats.
Because it all opens up.
It's complete open. It's a wonderful boat. The spaces are very open, so it's a new generation of boat. The only thing what I was missing up to today is finding enough interested partners to join us in the project around the Oasis. Because still, people now, they have sold already multiple versions, but people still, it's easier to buy a complete yacht instead of being smarter to buy a share in the yacht. Yes. Okay, but it's simply a fact.
Let me try this. No, I don't want to do that. That'll lose it. Ah, got it. Just when I'm expecting it.
Okay. Sorry for the technical interruption. We're on board of a yacht, and I think our connection went a little bit weak. Also, that is part of yachting life.
Yeah. Actually, I'll just ask everybody, could you leave a comment if you can see us again? Because I can see you on my phone, but I can't see you on my computer on the screen. So if anybody doesn't mind leaving a message to confirm. Okay, I've got, now it's okay. That's good. I can see your comments, so that's...
Sorry for the interruption.
All we need. So yeah, sorry for that. Let me come back to some of the questions. Oh, there's so many questions coming in.
I love it. I could go on for hours.
Yeah, me too. So, Christoph Alex, how many co-ownership model vessels would be good to add to your portfolio to satisfy the market? What do you think the saturation point may be?
Let me say, I'm very particular on that, and we discussed this. Yeah, and I'm there in conflict with my business development and sales director. So for me, in life and in doing business, quality before quantity. So what we are doing now, in September, we are 4 years in the market, and we have now, I'm in the final stage of the last share. We have 4 boats closed, and I have already 2 new ones in the pipeline. So we're working on that. So let me say, our growth will be defined by the quality of how we can handle yachts like that. And that's one thing. Another thing is also that I would really look forward to get more players in the market who would believe in the concept and start offering it, because up to now to today, in our range, in the segment 30 meter to 60, 70 meter, we are the only player up to today. And I really believe the more players that you get in the market in this field, the more that we are challenged to improve our quality. What on the end is much better for people who are starting to look at it. But I think there is a huge potential in this market, but like a lot of things nowadays, is things who are new take simply time. It takes time to adapt. It takes time to get the first believers on board, because you always need first believers. And we build enormously on making our first believers our true ambassadors. But in this business segment, I must say, I have one huge problem. Yeah? What I didn't have in the past, when I work coming from oil and gas, our owners want to remain very private and very discreet. So, and the biggest tool to grow is that your ambassadors put testimonials out so that you can really speak and you can connect them with the world. But that's in our field of yachting, where people want to remain behind the screens. Yeah. It's a very difficult thing. But I really believe that there is space for co-ownership, and we will become the third channel in the market. I'm pretty sure. So I'm 100% convinced. But there's one. The only question that I have: how many years will it take? It's a matter of time. You have to be very persistent, and you would be surprised how many people that laughed in the first years that now already get a little bit interested. Okay, let us see, because something is moving. Yeah. But it's like with everything that's brand new. Yeah. But the future is more and more co-owning. Our new generation is not so much into owning everything in full. Yeah. Now they want to have the experience, and I think we are delivering that experience, that ownership experience, but you pay for what you use, and it's not that you pay for a fraction of what you can, or no, you pay for everything but you only use a fraction. We want to get away from that.
And if I can add something to that as well, something that's come through to me while we've spent some time together is that for Matty and for his team, it's all about quality over quantity, and that's something when you see the finished videos that we'll be talking about quite a great deal. And I suspect that Matty will continue to grow the size of the fleet as long as he can keep the quality to a high level. Would that be fair to say?
Yep.
And I could see easily 20, 25 yachts in the fleet in the future, easily.
Let me say that that will probably, for some of the viewers, they will say, okay, that's strange when you want to build business. I've rejected potential co-owners. And not to be arrogant or to be elite or something like that, but their mindset was not co-owning. They were very attracted about only paying 25% of a super yacht. Yeah, you are attracted of paying only 25% of the running cost. But in their mindset, they thought they wanted to have the full flexibility of 100% ownership. It will not work. Also, I met people that are not the type of people that we want to have on a boat, that I want to bring to it. We are more the family-oriented organization, and I'm very particular on who we bring on board, because one wrong partner can kill the entire structure, but also can kill our reputation as a company, and I don't want that. And I also don't need that. I'm in the luxury position that I'm now 58, so I have my financial wealth built up, so I don't need to sell quick boats. I want to do it in a qualified way, and that define our growth. But there's a lot of growth still to do.
Well, when you told me that the first time, which was last year, that helped me to understand a lot about how SEANET's working, because we all know a lot of crazy things happen on yachts. And I thought, if you have the one owner who's a crazy party animal doing all sorts of crazy, maybe even illegal stuff on board, and then the next guy is a family guy, it's just there's no compatibility. So Matty works very hard to make sure that there's a consistency between the ethics and the standards, the compatibility of the various partners.
Yeah, but also that is embedded in contracts. Also there, when we have, because I cannot look through people. We do a due diligence process very, very, very deeply, but I cannot really look through a guy who is willing to buy. But from the moment that we see that things go out of control, we can simply block people from the access of a boat. And simply to protect the other co-owners in the structure who want to use the yacht on a proper way. And I think it's very important to have all those contracts in place. That's also the reason that I spend a lot of time before inviting them on one of our yachts, spending time to explain them each detail about co-ownership. And then they have to take a decision. And not otherwise. And I don't want to be confronted with people that I sell a share, that after 6 months or a year tell me, Matty, you've not told me this, you've not told me that. I don't want to have that. I want to have people maximally informed, and then they take a decision.
Next question, Matty, because there's lots, and this particular question is a very practical one. It's from Chip Reed again, and he simply asks, do the co-owners pay VAT on top of the purchase of the yachts?
Yes, that is very particular, and maybe also there, and that's sometimes a discussion, because the majority of entrepreneurs, they don't like to pay VAT, and we only do boats who are VAT paid. So that means also on our latest one that I bought the boat end of September. We brought it in Montenegro, and in March I sailed to Malta to pay a multi-million amount simply to get the VAT paid. So we use all yachts privately. When you want to use your yacht privately, we have no charter, then very simple, you have to pay VAT. So all boats are VAT paid, all of them.
There used to be all kinds of ways that people would try to get around VAT, but
It's
now
unavoidable.
it's unavoidable. You have
And
to pay.
I don't want to be hostage of a charter contract.
No.
Because people underestimate because you become hostage of your own charter contract. And that's not what I want to do. But okay, again, my personal opinion, and I believe that people are better off to pay VAT and in all these use their yacht as a private owner who has paid correctly all the things that he should pay.
And to explain, Chip, the comment about a charter contract, if you charter your yacht is a commercially registered vessel. It's a business, and so you don't have to pay VAT on it. But that comes with so many strings attached that when you want to use your own yacht, you're considered as a charter client. A lot of people do it, and I don't want to knock it as a system.
No, absolutely
because
not.
For a lot of people, it works. But as you rightly say, you certainly feel that you're a hostage of your own charter. Yacht.
The thing that for me is so weird, that when you see, I think, and I don't know the number exactly, but let us know, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think the majority of yachts that are built, even yachts to 75, 80, 100 meter, are chartered, are commercial, the majority. So the yachts built by billionaires. Do the people need the money of the charter? No, but again, that feeling of wasting money, burning money because the yacht is not used. So when I have to choose between having 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 charter weeks on a yearly basis, they're having 10 different groups of people who are going to party on my boat, and not knowing what you're going to do or what you're going to ruin, versus having 2, 3, or 4 co-owners who put multi-millions on the table to own the yacht, I know what I would do immediately. And for me, it's so surprisingly that people prefer to buy single, and then almost 70% of them start chartering boats. For me, it's a no-brainer. Why would I do that? Because what you do in co-owning, you simply pull the money of charter, you pull it forward, because you simply have a co-owner and he pays you millions for his share. So why would you then charter? What is the necessity of chartering?
Sure. Let's move on. Again, Rudy Deghelt says, can this model, the co-ownership model, be done only with new yachts or also with older yachts?
Let me say, again, you could also do it with older yachts, but there's a big but. Why do we speak now? We speak our yachts are all, let me say, or new or 1-2 years old. Let me say, very young yachts. And we do a detailed survey on the yachts that we take on the fleet that are already in the market. What is very important, when I take you with me in the journey of co-ownership, you build up a trust relationship. But one of the things is also that you have to rely on the fact that I offer you co-ownership in a yacht that is in a top state. You don't want to be confronted that I get you in my structure, and then after 1 year the engine is broken and this is broken, because we all pay for it together. So to avoid that, I'm not going in the route of old yachts. Sometimes old yachts are very interesting because the price is low. But like a lot of people already experience, they think I've done the sale of my life. I bought a cheap yacht, and then when you speak them 1 or 2 years later, say, oh my God, what I've had, all the mess that I put hundred thousands of euros in it to get it in a shape that it was affordable. And I don't want to have that. That's the reason that I stick in this moment with a brand new concept to, let me say, almost brand new or completely new yachts. Simply, we want to build up a top reputation.
Great. Steve Gale says, great job, gentlemen, very informative. I mentioned that because Steve, if you're the Steve Gale who's a yacht broker, nice to hear from you. You might not be, but there's a yacht broker in the States called Steve Gale. Dream Yachts say, Matty is the man, and I love how passionately he describes the setup. He came through for me big time, and I value him especially for his professionalism and seriousness. Thanks, Matty.
Okay. Thank you very much for the compliment. And I must say, I don't want to reveal everything, but Dreamline will be one of the Dreamline boats will become part of our fleet. But okay, that's something for the next week's months.
Oh, really? Yeah. Very good, very good. There's a couple of questions that are asking about opinions on certain models of yachts. I'll skip over those only because I want to use Matty's time to talk more about co-ownership rather than about opinions on what's the best yacht. But thanks for adding the questions, and thanks for watching. Little Old Brit 71 says, hello David, hello Matty. My question is, what happens if both co-owners decide to go on a trip at the same time? Is this allowed? And if so, who gets the owner's suite? Do they flip a coin to decide?
No, I must say, up to now, it has not happened. And that surprised me very strongly. What I notice is that, and also I will first answer on this question. What I now see is that people are very private. And in the past 4 years, last year I said, okay, we are 3 years in the market. We have already closed 3 boats. Let us create a kind of get-together in a nice environment where we bring the yachts in and invite all the co-owners. So what I did is very simple. We have, last year it was 12 deals that we have done. No, 10 deals at that moment. So I phoned each of them. And I must say I was a little bit surprised, but none of them was really keen to meet the other co-owners.
Oh, really?
It would sound for you maybe very strange, but people say very clearly, Matty, we make an arrangement with you and with your company, and how that you handle all the other co-owners, I don't want to be involved. I don't care. I made an agreement, very clearly statement, and you arrange it. So up to now, I've never had a request of an owner said, I want to join another owner to be together. I've never had it. When I speak about the Explorer type of yacht, that could maybe become a type of boat where you can bring passionate, crazy yacht owners together to spend some time, because the women don't like to sail in Alaska. So simply to give you an example, but up to now I've never had it. But when it would be clearly, then we would have to flip a coin who is now getting in the boat, in the master suite.
I think there's probably some psychology there as well, because if I co-own a yacht, I want to feel that I own the yacht. When I'm on board, I want to be able to say this is my yacht, because actually it is. I own a big percentage of it, and the moment I meet another owner, it crashes my dream. It crashes my perception of being the owner, because this guy's actually the owner. No, I'm the owner. So I think I'd rather not meet the other owners. I'd rather just be happily.
But let me give you a very simple example. I think that the majority are company owners. When you have a company together with one of 2 partners, is it not? Is the perception, when you speak with other people, don't you speak about my company?
Yes, of course.
Even when there is a 25% shareholder or 30% was other. So in a company, we are, as entrepreneurs, used that we have multiple partners. Yeah. And all of a sudden, the boat is not possible anymore. I think it's the same. It's exactly the same thing. For me, I'm now a shareholder in boats. For me, it's the same as I'm simply one of them. I'm equal. I'm not more. I'm not less than anybody else. So you can also be together as in a company. So the feeling can be the same.
Yeah. So there's a question here that I don't fully understand, but I think you're probably far more informed on finance than I am. Because second star to the right, who actually asks a lot of questions on live streams, and they're often questions which are quite specific and that I don't always understand. So second star to the right says, are you looking into tokenizing your asset yachts or company like shares on the stock market?
I think that I understand where the direction is going. What I now see is, first of all, we want to reach that target of the 10 yachts in the fleet. Yeah. And those 10 yachts in the fleet, for me, is very simple. We approach people who are interested and they buy a share in one yacht. Very clearly, there's one asset and you are part of that one asset. I believe that once this model becomes more and more popular and people feel give trust to the model, because there's also a matter of something is new, is it trustful, will it continue, will the company be there in the market? So people watch. We have a lot of people who follow us already for years.
Yes.
They say, Matty, that the day will come that I will buy, but I'm now watching what you're doing.
Yes.
Yeah? I have no issue with that. So you have the first believers and you have the ones that say, no. Let the first believers do their thing. When that worked, I jump on board.
Yes.
So, but I really believe that when we once go from the 10, maybe to the 20, 30, 40 yards, that there will come a time that there's enough trust base in the market that you can put the yachts in one owning company trust. Yeah, that there's one owning company who handles multiple boats. Yeah, and instead of becoming 33 or 50% owner in one owning company, you become maybe 5% owner in a company that owns 50 boats. Yeah, and that to do that, you need to do crowdfunding. You need to get the funding, and you need to go maybe to the stock market to get money to do that. But it's the time at this moment is not right, because the perception is still that people have to get used to that sharing model, to the sharing economy, and the next step will probably be, and I speak, maybe it is in 3 years or in 5 years, I cannot tell you, but it's a feeling. I feel very clearly the market is not yet ready to bring multiple boats in one asset company and make people owner of a percentage of that asset company. The market is not ready yet at this moment, but hopefully it will go in that direction.
It's a good question.
Yeah, I find it a very good question. Yes. It is a question with a financial background.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah? And I believe that the future will go in that direction.
Moving down. Oh, here's another. Well, actually, there's lots of good questions here. Chip Reed again. What's the term of the contract? I suppose it means the length of the contract.
No, again, compare it with a company. You are together, the two of us have a company, yeah, and in our shareholders agreement, we have a shareholders agreement, there's a first right of refusal. That means the moment that you say, Matty, I don't like it anymore, I want to get out, you have to offer your share to me. Yeah. I have then in our contract is 45 days the time to say, yes, I want to buy it or not. And I have then to react on your asking price. Where we cannot get level on the asking price, we have a third party expert to make a valuation of the boat. Then there can still be a second valuation, but the second valuation is simply the valuation that we have to handle. When I say no, you simply put the share in the market. That can be through SEANET, because we know the yacht inside out. We can put her in the market, but you also can say, I go to the known brokerage houses of this world, and they simply sell my share. That's the moment. So at any moment you can step out, like in any company.
So Chip, when you co-own a yacht, you're buying a yacht. You're just buying a part of the yacht. So there's no term to how long that lasts. When you buy a yacht, there's no term to the contract of how long you own the yacht. You own it until you sell it, really. Don't you?
But may I give an example? Maybe it makes a little bit, what I know, and I say my experience is limited. Okay, I'm 30 years active in boating and yachting from an owner perspective, but in this co-ownership model, I only can speak about 4 years. And in those 4 years, my first believers of the first years, they already upgraded. So you have 3 types of clients in my vision. You have the client who says, after 1 or 2 years says, Matty, I've been 1 time too much next to a bigger yacht. Can you get me a bigger yacht?
Yes.
Yeah, very simple. They want to upgrade. I've done just now in the Mediterranean. 2 of my Delfino partners upgraded to a Mediterranean. I bought back that share and we resold it to external parties. Yeah, that's 1 type of client. I'm in the boat. I like it. I love the concept. I want the bigger one. Yeah. Second group of people are simply people, and I think that also exists. I've not had it yet. People that simply say, I use it 4 or 5 years. It's an episode in my life. I enjoyed it. And I sell it and I go do something else with my money. Yeah, we have not had it yet, but it will probably come. And there's a third party, and I think it's a very smart party. They say, let them all sell. I know the boat inside out. It's maybe 4 or 5 years old. I buy their shares at a depreciated rate, and I continue to use the boat as maybe a 50 or a 70% shareholder, and have more time. And that are the 3 types of boat owners.
That's great. Now, we've received a super chat, and I should tell you there's no need to send super chats because we'll try to answer all of the questions equally. But thank you very much anyway, David Dillon. And he says, sorry I came in late, but how do you handle it when co-owners' personalities don't mesh? So there are lots of arguments. Like, for example, with upgrades. Somebody wants to upgrade. Let's say one of the owners says, let's grade all of the AV equipment. You know that can be incredibly expensive. Another one says no. Another one says, oh, okay, let's get a quote. How do you handle that kind of thing?
I think you have to handle that before you set up a co-ownership structure. People don't know me in detail, but when I would invite you on board of our yachts, and you have been on board of the yachts, and what you should ask Bonetti, because they know me. My initial Delfino is the best spec Delfino they ever built. So, and I mean in all senses. When you speak about TVs, when you speak about RGB, when you speak about AV, the mattress, everything. So I really believe that you should do your homework before you put a yacht in the market, whatever. So when we buy in a yacht, we do the upgrading. I believe in super sound on board. I believe in a lot of feature. I believe in the jacuzzis and the lighting on board. So I think that you should offer a boat that is fully equipped. Not only the boat itself, but also from the toys. So and when you do that, there is not a lot anymore to upgrade. Okay, when tomorrow somebody asks me on a 30 meter for a chopper, a helicopter, I have to say no, we cannot do that. It simply not fits the yacht. But I think when you would come on board of our yachts, you will see that you are, from the definition of the structure, you are fully loaded. That's one thing. Second thing is, from the moment that you don't get an agreement, for example, something that a crazy thing, but for you is very important, it's very easy. I will bring it to the community of co-owners, and when they say no, you still have all the right to say, Matty, and I want to have it, and we will build it. But then you will pay the bill. It's very simple. There's a very simple thing, just like you would be a full yacht owner. I have now people on board. I have the surfboarders. He has a complete. One of our owners is really crazy about surfing. Yeah, and he has a full set of equipment. That's only for him, because the other ones are not interested in it. So when he is on board, his gear is completely on board. I think you have to see it like that. I have owners who are crazy about whiskey. He has a whiskey collection on board that goes off board when another owner comes. And you can go very far in that. That's something what is defined at the start of a structure.
I'll pick you up on the whiskey, because it ties in with a question from second star to the right again, who says, are all co-owned yachts no smoking, or can I enjoy a cigar if I wish?
No. Let me say
Whiskey and a cigar.
No. Whiskey you can enjoy, a cigar you can also enjoy, but outside on the flybridge. So we don't allow in the cabins, in none of the cabins, the entire boat on the inside is non-smoking. And I hope that viewers understand that. You have multiple people, and you see now a trend. I have nothing against smoker. I'm a non-smoker, never smoked in my life. But once you start smoking in the boat, you cannot get it out of the boat.
You never get the smoke.
Yeah, so the boats are non-smoking inside, but it don't mean we have co-owners who like to have a nice cigar, but they do it in the evening with a nice glass of whiskey or gin. They're on the flybridge and they enjoy it, so they disturb nobody.
And actually, even with smokers, I think I might have seen somebody smoking a cigar inside once in all the time I've been in the industry.
I also have not seen it. I've also never seen it myself.
Even smokers don't smoke inside their yacht. They'll also, because it's so nice, if you are a cigar smoker, I guess it's so nice to sit on the aft deck. And
you have to keep in mind that, and I know that we all love the advantages and we want to minimize the disadvantages. The advantages of co-ownership are very clear. You have a fully managed yacht for a fraction of the purchase price, and a fraction of the running cost. Top yacht, fully equipped, even much more loaded than you would do yourself, because it's simply, sometimes the amount becomes crazy.
Yes.
That's the advantages. Yeah. But there are, and I don't hide them. That's the reason I speak with people. You also have disadvantages. Yeah. That means there is a planning scheme.
Yeah.
You have to adapt a little bit to a planning scheme. It's a fair planning scheme, but there is a planning scheme. So when you're sitting in your couch at home and you say, oh honey, what would you think when we tomorrow take our jet and we fly to the boat? Yeah, co-ownership, this becomes very difficult. Then you have to buy definitely your own yacht, and you can do it. But then you pay, instead of the 2, 3, 4, 5 million, you pay the 10, 15, 20 million. When you're willing to do that, please do that, but there is a difference, and I think you have to cope with that. But for each advantage, there's a disadvantage. But I must tell you, when every year on a boat, even on a 30 meter, the 600K, when you are 25% owner, you pay 150K. Can you imagine, with the 350,000 euros that you save each year when you're a car lover, each year you buy a top Ferrari or a top Lamborghini, for that money, what you otherwise simply have wasted for time that you're not on board of your own boat. So advantage, disadvantage, and you have to be in balance.
Now we're getting loads of questions, so many questions it's hard to keep up. So if I miss some of your questions, I apologise. Mark, that's his name, Mark. There's no Mark 21 or anything like that. Okay. Mark with a C. He's obviously looked at your website, because he says about the prices shown in the website, that's the initial payment, and then you have a yearly fee, maintenance and salaries. So he's saying the price on the website, is that the initial payment, or is that a yearly fee?
Yeah, I should now have my marketing lady and my business development director here. They know the website inside. I know our website, but I must say I know not each particular pricing what is on it. I'm more the visionary. I'm more from a, let me say, from a CEO point of view, look to the company. very simple. You have two things. You have the purchase price of the yacht, yeah, and you have then the running cost. What you now see is we have two models, because we also do whole yachts. Because also that was something in the beginning. I've not done it, but I had contact with clients that I was talking to for a while. They said, Matty, I really like your approach. I like your style. But could I buy my yacht, and you would do the contracting, and you would do the owner representation with your company and guide me through that process, because I simply don't know what to ask technically. I'm not involved in that. We also do that. So that's the reason that you find on our website pricing, list pricing of Bonetti, of Azimut Yachts, because we are very much linked. We have an in-depth relationship with them. And you find also the pricing of co-ownership shares. Yeah? And you have then, besides that, you have the running costs.
Right.
Yeah? Simply to give you an idea, when you speak about a Bonetti Delfino boat, you will have a all-in running cost on a yearly base based on European use. So that means from the 1st of April until the end of October, you will be in a number between 550 to 600,000, management fee included, rotational crew, everything included. We have now a 35-meter yacht, yeah, the Bonetti Mediterraneo, that will be a dual seasonal boat. Yeah, so it will sail in 24 weeks in Europe, 12 weeks in the Caribbean or in Asia. Now this next year it will be the Caribbean, and there the budget is 1.2 million. So that means each shareholder, we have 6 shareholders, pays 200,000 euro. But who can handle a 35-meter yacht with double crew, with all the service, for 200,000 euros? And the same for a Delfino. For 150K, the full yacht is managed, and you have 7 weeks a year. So it's a little bit purchase price, and you have the running cost.
Yeah. Now I'm going to combine two questions, because I saw a question earlier from somebody asking about how many people can co-own one yacht, and then I see this question from Gabriel Soanos, who says, isn't it better, instead of selling a co-ownership, to sell time blocks with minimum amounts involved, limiting the number of people that use the boat, especially since the owners want to deal just with you?
Can you repeat the question, because I try to understand the question.
I know that's I think basically what they want to know is
what is the maximum
first
of
all, the maximum amount of owners,
okay.
And secondly, whether you couldn't just buy a block of time.
No.
So which is going back to the timeshare issue,
No.
really, isn't it?
No. In the States, you have those programs, and maybe in 2 or 3 years, I also have to adapt our concept to also to ownership blocks. But primarily now in this phase, I simply sell shares in a boat. So I sell ownership shares in a boat. And the maximum, and believe me, I really speak, and I can argue, it would bring us too far to go in depth in each detail, but it's something for a personal chat. The maximum what you can do, and I've calculated days around this subject, so I'm very much into planning what is feasible to remain in a way that you have a qualified planning. The absolute maximum on a boat in co-ownership is 6. I will explain you why 6 is the maximum. Very simply, when you do from the beginning of May to mid of June, yeah, when you divide it, then you have 6 weeks pre-season. Yeah. When you have the summer, and that's mainly the target, the summer in Europe is, what is the summer in Europe? The summer in Europe is, let me say, the last weeks of June, and already a lot of people say, no, for me that's not summer, but we have to take it until the end of August. So when I would not take the weeks of June, I would even not be able to have 6 weeks. So when you want to have 6 times 2 weeks in the summer, yeah, then the maximum is 6 owners. And then again in September, October, 6 weeks in a row for the owners. So for me, 6 owners is the maximum that you can do. And what we then combine, those 6 owners get then 6 times 2 weeks, yeah, in the Caribbean in the winter. So for me, when you look to a 1/6 share, when you 100 divide by 6, you get on 16.66. Yes. Yeah, it gives you 4 weeks in Europe. So 1 week in the May-June period, 2 weeks in the mid-June until end of August period, so the top season, 1 week in the September, beginning of October period, and 2 weeks in the winter. And really, I don't know a lot of owners who are even able to use it completely. So 6 weeks is the max, 6 co-owners is the max that we have. We don't do more.
Now, I'll ask you this question because it's a good question. I don't know how specific you want to be in the answer, but it's an understandable question from Doberman-later. He says, thanks for doing this, guys. Is there a base minimum price range for entry level of co-owning? So what do you think the least somebody could really invest to co-own a yacht?
Let me say it will be around, depending on, let me say, now what is the differentiating point? We now have, we have in our fleet a Delfino.
Yes.
The Delfino is now on our fleet. That was my initial boat that I brought in the concept as a tryout. Yeah, and that boat is now becoming 6 years. Yeah. When you would see the boat, you would not believe that the boat is 6 years.
No,
also,
true.
that's a proof of our maintenance staff, who are very, very highly. So we have now had owners, co-owners that said, it was a joyful ride, but I want now bigger. So I took shares over, and at this moment, I have 2 times 25% shares available in that boat. Those shares will go for 1.3, 1.4 million. A little bit, I've not made the final calculation yet, but let us say 1.4 million. Yeah, but it's a 6-year-old boat where you still could have the next 3, 4, 5 years, enjoy the boat to the top, and it's even with a warranty. We know the boat inside out. We give a warranty on the first year, so that there should not be an issue. When you do that on a brand new Delfino, you will pay 2.5 to 2.8 million. Yeah, so it depends a little bit on, let me say, in new boats, when you start from the level of 93, 95 footers, you will be in the range of 2.5 million. And when you go to a 35 meter, you go to 4.5, 5 million with an Oasis, for example. That's the bracket, 2.5 to 5 million for a brand new boat. And then depending on the age of the boat, you go to a lower price, but that's a little bit the entry level. But you will, anyway, you remain under the 5 million tag. Can you imagine having a brand new Oasis, 40 million, fully loaded, fully equipped, for a number that's less than 5 million?
Yeah. In terms of brand new yachts, 5 million would buy you an 80-foot flybridge yacht, which is...
And I speak about, what I have to clarify, I speak about VAT included and fully equipped. So I don't speak about a naked boat without the options, without the VAT. And in my pricing, we also, our philosophy, you have seen it, you have been with me on the boat today. All our boats have I don't want to make advertisement on brand, but we have all Williams jet tenders in the garage of the boat. But we have with each boat a luxury day chase boat of a 10 to 11 meters. We have some Axopars, we have some Huntons. That's all included. We sell a package all included. Options in, day boat in, everything in.
That's great, because one of the questions, again from second star to the right, how do yacht toys like jet skis work with co-ownership? Is there a co-owned library of toys to choose from?
Let me say, we fully equipped. Up to now, I must say, our boats, and maybe that's for some of you a negative point, but it's discussable. Don't ask me why. Until now, only one boat in our fleet has a jet ski. Because there's very particular demand of it. All the others have not a jet ski on board. But it's not a limitation. I don't want to exclude it, but normally boats have jet skis. We now use on those boats the space where the jet ski fits for a great storage for all kinds of other toys. Yeah, but our boats we have pedal boards, we have sea bobs on board, we have diving equipment on board, we have all kinds of fun tubes, we have all water skis, wakeboards. We have a lot of stuff on board. Generally, we mainly don't have jet skis because simply was not requested. Yeah, right. And we have the Williams, the jet tender, what mainly is used by the crew for provisioning and for pulling when we do water sports. And we have, with every boat, we have a big chase boat. What we tow, or we have a skipper separately, depending on what the type of boat.
By the way, I'm not sure if you mentioned this, you may have done, but one of those boats is an Axopar, which
yes.
I'm crazy about.
We have just bought an Axopar XC, the closed version, what is a wonderful boat. And we have now in order an Axopar ST, so the open version, what will be delivered by the end of August. And we have at the moment now a Hunton 1005, what is a great boat. It's a really fancy boat. We have it now for more than 5 years. And when you would see it, you would not believe the quality and the state the boat is in. It's a wonderful boat.
Now, Mo Rafae has sent a super chat again. Mo, thank you very much. Really not necessary on this live stream to send super chats, but very kind of you. He asks a question that we've kind of covered, but let's just quickly explain it. He said it would be great to know how co-ownership compares to full ownership combined with chartering the yachts when the owner's not using it. So you own the yachts, but you put it out for charter. He says from a financial and also from your experience.
Yeah, and apologize me when I'm now frank. Yeah, what we do, normally you buy a yacht. A lot of people buy a full yacht. And what they then do to optimize their running costs, because they don't want to burn money, they start chartering. Yeah. Well, we offer you a solution in which you don't need to charter. You can reduce your 52 weeks of a year back to the time that you really need. And that's the 6 weeks, it can be 9 weeks or 12 weeks, depending on the percentage that you buy in ownership. When you then come on those 6 weeks, so you already reduce your purchase price tremendously. When you then still need to charter out of the 6 weeks, 1 or 2 weeks, sorry, my advice would be, and I mean it really, I mean it seriously, I don't want to offend anybody, then simply charter a boat.
Yes.
Because it makes no sense anymore. And what I notice very clearly, none of all our boats are commercially built, from the start. Even when we buy in a new boat, we make it commercial, and that has more to do with the ability of resale value in the future. So we don't build boats that are not commercially built because it's very difficult to get them sold, or more difficult, let us say. But all our boats are privately registered, VAT fully paid, because our owners, they like the privacy. When I would do that, I would lose owners. They would say, no, Matty, I specifically chose this model to have partner co-owners, and that this is not a party charter boat. And again, I don't want to offend anybody.
No. But that's your experience.
That's the experience.
What we're interested in is your experience. Seth R. Barron says that he's just bought a Smooth Sea skillful makes a skillful sailor premium t-shirt, but don't tell Aquaholic or Super Yacht Captain, because I have a merchandise line as well. So thanks for that, Seth. And actually I have a meeting next week to look at some more merchandise. So hopefully within a couple of months we'll be having more t-shirts and caps and such like. Again, moving down.
It's incredible how many questions.
Well, we're going to the end now, I think. to the end of them. So we'll do one more question and then we'll call it an evening, because we've been going well over an hour and a quarter. This is a very good point. Again, we'll conclude with Second Star to the Right again. Thanks for your contribution, Second Star to the Right. And again, going back to the issue of the difference with timeshare, they say, wouldn't you agree that somebody buying a block of time doesn't have the same amount of care for the yacht as somebody who's a co-owner?
Yeah, I fully agree. Time compared to ownership, ownership remains personal. I see with everybody when you come on board, and I notice that is also what the crew gives me as a feedback. People who own it, who have paid that multi-million number and put it on the table and pay the running cost, you're very, very careful. They want to keep their yacht in the best state. That is the difference. I've had in my company in the past, I had multiple hundreds of cars in leasing. And everybody who has a company who has lease cars knows that it's incredible to a director's level, treat their car when it's a lease car, was from the company. And all of a sudden they have then, I know a lot of people had then a private car as a collector's item, they would put them in their bedroom. But there is a clique in people, when it's not owned by them, they treat it completely different. And I notice that in everything. I have owners who really speak with their guests, sorry, but you need to be a little bit more careful. And that is something what is the crew normally has to do. With charter guests, it becomes very, very difficult. But with owners who put the money on the table, my experience is very good.
Thank you very much, Matty. Now, just so that everybody knows, I'm here in Croatia filming a series of 3 videos for the YouTube channel and some video content for SEANET as well. Those 3 videos will be coming out over the next few weeks. Probably the first one will be out in about 3 weeks' time. And they'll be covering, first of all, the progress that SEANET has made in 1 year, which is absolutely remarkable. Secondly, how the co-ownership structure works. And the third one is the new service, which is sole ownership. So for people who want all of the benefits of the yacht management, the crew management, the concierge service, but they want to own their own yacht, because now SEANET are doing that too. So we'll be looking at that as well. But also Matty very kindly has put myself, my video team, Ricky and Davide, up as guests in one of the yachts, which has been a fantastic experience. It's been like being a co-owner for a few days. And very kindly has agreed to let me do a walkthrough video of the Bonetti Delfino tomorrow. So I hope to be able to publish that Saturday, at the very latest on Sunday. So you'll be able to see all the way through a Bonetti Delfino from the top to the bottom, what the layout is, what characteristics it has. As Matty mentioned, it's the highest spec Bonetti Delfino that's ever been built. And actually, it made me realise that I kind of feel that it's all the yacht you'd ever need, really.
Yes, the Delfino is a very nice. I call it, and you will find it also on internet everywhere. It's a pocket super yacht.
Yes.
It's a pocket super yacht. The Delfino is the Bonetti has really been able with that yacht to enter a segment of the super yacht in a very nice way.
Yeah.
There's everything that you can imagine on board of a very small boat on itself, but it's huge volume-wise inside. So one thing when I'm here, sorry for my enthusiasm,
please,
but even in sole ownership, I don't know one owner who said, Matty, I love the idea, but I want to build my own boat. I said, okay, I will help you. I will guide you. We negotiated a contract with the shipyard. We did a complete build supervision. We did the delivery. We crewed the boat. We do the full management. That same owner said to me, because I spoke with him about also the reason why you should think about it. And he said to me, Matty, you're true. When I now look, in my first year, I used the boat 7.5 weeks.
Yes.
And I really enjoyed it. And it's a commercial boat. So I now doing charter, but me and my wife, we really don't like charter. And we are now looking for co-owners for that boat. So even you can start as an owner because you're really convinced that that's the way that you want to own it. When you really have a good click, good bonding, I'm pretty sure that you will very quickly be open to swap your charter to co-ownership.
Excellent.
Okay.
And on
Thank
that
you very
note,
much,
thank you very much. I'm going to come over to the phone to switch it off and look out for the next video on Saturday or at the very latest on Sunday.
So bye-bye and thanks for your interest.